Girivaradari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitaya Gaur Premanande, Hare Hare Bol. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, Gaur Hare Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2nd, entitled Maharaj Nimi Meets the Nine Yogendras. Text number 22. Taite Bhagavadrupam Vishwam Sadasat Atmakam Atmano Vyatirekena Pashyanto Vyacharam Mahim Taite Bhagavadrupam Vishwam Sadasad Atmakam Atmano Vyatirekena Pashyanto Vyacharan Mahim Taite Bhagavadrupam Vishwam Sadasad Atmakam Atmano Vyatirekena Pashyanto Vicharan Mahim. Mataji's. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace is disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. These sages wandered the earth, seeing the entire universe with all its gross and subtle objects, as a manifestation of Supreme Lord and as non-different from the self. Purport. It's a very long purport. So try to hear it. It's very long. Maybe I'll just cover half. Maybe let me see. It's purport. According to Sridhar Swami, it is clearly demonstrated in this and the following verse that the 9 saintly sons of Rishabdev, known as Nava Yogendras, were situated in the highest stage of spiritual perfection called Paramhamsa Charitam, or having fully developed the character of Paramhamsas. In other words, they were pure devotees of the Lord. According to Sridhar Swami and Jiva Goswami, the words Atmano Vyatirekena indicate that the 9 sages saw the universe as being non-different from themselves, as well as non-different from the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has additionally commented, Atmana, Paramatmana, Sakshat, Avyatirekena, Vishwasya Chat Shakti Mayatvad Iti Bhava. Atmana indicates the super soul. This universe is not different from the Supreme Person Godhead Paramatma, since the entire universe is composed of his energies. Umagyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Snapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vande Ham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padagamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamsha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyanta Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gaura Vishe Nama He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastude Tapta Ganchana Gaurangi Radhe Runda Vaneshwari Prishamano Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Nilachala Nivasaya Nityaya Paramatmane Balabhadra Subhadrabhyam Jagannathaya Te Nama Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. हरे कृष्ण। प्रभु जी के लिए कोई ट्रांसलेट करेगा हिंदी में या बंगाली हिंदी में? हरे कृष्णा। I seek blessings of all devotees assembled here, so that I can speak something for my own purification. Last couple of weeks, or maybe 1-2 months, we have been blessed by association of so many wonderful devotees, hearing nectar of Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita from so many wonderful devotees every day. This is a really wonderful feast. This is the greatest blessing we have by mercy of Srila Prabhupada, that we are able to discuss and hear this topmost literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, daily. Other day, when I was asking His Holiness Bhakti Chaitanya Maharaj, I see that in spite of your such advanced age, every day you are coming from Mangalarti and chanting with devotees until the end of the Bhagavatam class, you are here only. How you are able to manage this thing at such advanced age? He said, this is fun. Morning program is fun. It's so blissful, so joyful. It's not it's a spiritual sense gratification. It's not austerity. So in the beginning, it may appear some austerity, but over a period of time, if one develops taste, one can see this is the greatest fun, greatest joy, greatest satisfaction, greatest fulfillment one can get by just daily attending morning program, and especially by daily hearing this nectar of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam talks about real history. People want to know about history. The history of this universe, history not only of this India, but entire earth planet, not only earth planet, entire universe is been described in Bhagavatam. And there are many wonderful lessons brought about from this history. The lessons which we can learn and apply in our life and grow in our lives. And this history is spoken not by conditioned souls, is spoken by great self-realized souls like Sukadeva Goswami, Sutta Goswami, Narada Muni, and all many great sages speaking in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in current section we are seeing Narada Muni is visiting Dwarka. Narada Muni is not an ordinary person. He can travel anywhere in the universe. Can you imagine? Both material and spiritual world. Just to think of a person who can travel anywhere in this world, material and spiritual world, anytime, itself is unbelievable. People are working so hard to come up with some space rockets and spending billions of dollars. I know, still not able to be successful. But to know about a person who can travel at will anytime, in one moment, not that years for rocket also it takes some months and years to travel, no? But Narada in one moment, he can be on earth planet, and the moment he is there in the Vaikuntha Loka with Supreme Lord. So here in this current we are seeing Narada Muni is visiting Dwarka. So Narada is a self-realized soul, all-knowing personality. It's not an imperfect soul with conditioned defects, no defects, perfected being. And he is coming to Dwarka to meet Krishna, who is performing his pastimes in Dwarka. And Dwarka is not also ordinary city. It's abode of Lord. And when he comes in Dwarka, he is received very nicely by Father of God, Vasudeva. And it's so amazing that Vasudeva, though he is Father of God, can you imagine being a Father of God? But he's so humble. He receives Narada Muni nicely, worships his feet, and then he inquires from him submissively. And Narada Muni is glorifying association of devotees. Vasudeva is glorifying association of devotees. Vasudeva is such a great devotee that Krishna became his son. But Vasudeva is not thinking I am a very great devotee. But he is understanding Narada is a great devotee. Much greater devotee than me. And he is saying, my dear Narada Muni, mercy of devotee is greater than mercy of devatas, demigods. Demigods avoid happiness and distress, but devotees only avoid happiness. Demigods avoid as per the people's karma, but devotees, they are always merciful and compassionate, irrespective of people's karma. So he said, "Oh my dear Nadmu, you have come here, you are blessing us, thank you very much. So please tell us about Bhagavad Dharma, the principles that please Supreme Person of Godhead." Because when we discuss about Bhagavad Dharma, all people in this world can be free from fear. One of the greatest problems in this material world is fear. Whole material world, all businesses are running based on fear, anxiety. So people make a business out of it. And they're also fearful. What will happen to their business future? So always thinking. So, what Vasudeva is telling, "Oh, Narad, you speak about Bhagavad Dharma. Because that Bhagavad Dharma, just by hearing, one will be free from fear." And then he explained how in previous lives he had worshipped Supreme Lord. But he said, somehow or other I was attached and I did not pray for liberation from this world. I just prayed for, having God as child, And Vasudeva was knowing that Supreme Lord Krishna is now going to unmanifest. He is going to wind up his pastime. So he was in anxiety and worried. So he said, "Please speak about this Bhagavad Dharma." And when Narad Muni heard, Narad Muni glorified Vasudeva. And then he glorified devotional service. He said, devotional service is so wonderful. If anybody hears about devotional service, anybody sees others doing devotional service, anybody appreciates others' devotional service, immediately his life becomes perfect. He is completely purified of unlimited sins. So he thanked Vasudeva for asking this wonderful question. Thanks Vasudeva for asking him to describe about Bhagavad Dharma. And then he says, "I will describe Bhagavad Dharma because these discussions earlier took place between Navayandrajas and Maharaj Nimi." So Navayandrajas are not ordinary people. They are also Paramahamsas, self-realized souls. Navayandrajas are 9 sons of King Rishabdev. Rishabdev is also not ordinary person. Rishabdev is incarnation of God. His eldest son is Bharat Maharaj, on whose name this land is called as Bharat Varsha. And then he describes everything, how this 9 Yogendras, they are Paramahamsas, and they knew completely, perfectly the science of spiritual science. And they traveled all over the universe at their will for benefit of the whole world. So Narad Muni said that once while traveling over the universe, this Navayandrajas happened to reach a sacrificial arena of Maharaj Nimi, where Maharaj Nimi was doing sacrifices. And when Navayandrajas arrived, immediately Maharaj Nimi stood up. All the priests, the head priest stood up. All the people stood up to receive Navayandrajas. Not only it is said, priest and all people and king stood up, the fire came in personified fire. They were doing sacrifice, fire. Fire also stood up. Can you imagine? Personified fires came to welcome and appreciate this Navayandrajas. So you can understand what is the position of this Navayandrajas, the pure devotees of Lord. And they were as effulgent as sun, as if many suns have arrived there. So very, very effulgent. And immediately King Nimi received him all Nauyandra nicely, made them sit nicely, and after appropriate worship, immediately inquired from this Navayogendras. So, first question they asked that, oh my dear Navayogendra, please describe to us what is the highest good. We see same question was asked by Shonak Rishi to Sutta Goswami. And then again he glorifies. He says, I consider your assertion to be priceless treasure. Maharaj is saying, oh, your assertion is so wonderful. It's priceless treasure. Please speak to me about Bhagavad Dharma, the performance of which immediately satisfies the Supreme Lord, who then gives his own self to such a surrendered devotee. Anybody does Bhagavad Dharma, Supreme Lord is extremely pleased. And what does he get in return? He gets Supreme Lord himself. Can you imagine achieving Supreme Lord? There are different processes you can do and you will achieve something. You may achieve Dhanam, Janam, Sundarim, Kavitam. You may achieve some mystic power, liberation. But can you imagine achieving Supreme Lord himself? Lord himself gives himself to a devotee. So when Nagendra heard this question, they were so happy. And the first Yogendra, Kavi, he started speaking about this Bhagavad Dharma. So we see Narad Muni, he is himself self-realized soul, but he is quoting another self-realized soul. And he is quoting to whom? Vasudeva, Krishna's father, God's father, So this is a very exalted assembly, exalted discussion, talking about the absolute truth. So these are not ordinary topics, cheap topics are no. So very exalted. So Kavi said, the conditioned soul is always fearful because of identifying with the temporary material body. Real freedom from this fear can only be achieved by worshipping lotus feet of Supreme Lord. One who accepts this path will never fall, even while running with his eyes closed. If one is on this path, one accepts this path, he will never fall, even with his eyes closed. With his eyes closed means without proper knowledge of the revealed scriptures. He may not be very learned and knowing all the intricacies. He may not know Sanskrit and all the intricacies of this. But still, if he knows the principles by association of devotees and he is practicing, he will not fall. In accordance with this particular acquired nature, one should offer all that he does with his body, senses, mind, words, intelligence, and purified consciousness, thinking this is for the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. While executing such devotional service, one should control his mind and give up all attachment to material object. In this way, by being constantly engaged in chanting and hearing about the Supreme Lord, one eventually attains the perfection of love of God. In addition, a devotee must train himself to see how everything is an expansion of the Supreme Lord's energy, and thus he should see nothing as separate from him. This realization will enable a devotee to become free from all fear. For one who has thus constantly engaged in the devotional service of Lord, unflinching devotion, detachment from unfavorable things, and direct experience of Lord come about as an irrevocable fact. So, we see Navindras are speaking about Bhagavad Dharma. So, in today's verse, here we see that Narad Muni is talking about Navindras. How these Navindras were. These sages wandered the earth, seeing the entire universe with all its gross and subtle object as manifest in the Supreme Lord and non-different from self. So Kavi is telling, when we are doing devotional service, you should see everything in relation with Lord. Narman is telling that the qualification of this, one of the qualifications of this sage was they were seeing everything in a relationship with Lord. So they were seeing everything in relationship with Lord, and they are instructing Maharaj Nimi that while performing devotional service, one should see everything in relationship with Lord. When we see things separate from the Lord, then that leads to great fear. When one sees oneself separate from Lord, one may see oneself as material body. And that can lead to a lot of anxiety. When one sees this world separate from the Lord, one may be overwhelmed by the anxieties. So there are three visions one can see the world. First vision is that materialistic vision the materialist people have. They think this world is all and all. There's nothing beyond this world. They don't believe in the spiritual world. They don't believe in God. They think this is everything. And what is their philosophy? Eat, drink and be merry. Beg, borrow, steal and enjoy. This material world is all and all. And everything is meant for our pleasure. And just enjoy it. So that is one vision. That leads to a lot of anxiety. You may think I will enjoy, but more we try to enjoy, more one suffers. More one is overwhelmed by fear and anxiety. Another vision is to see this material world as illusion. Brahma Satya, Jagat Mithya. Mayavad is this thing, this material, it doesn't exist only, it's just illusion. It's not reality. Reality is Brahman. You have to just get rid of this world. You have to just get liberated, So they are least bothered. So they try to renounce everything in this world. Materialist people try to enjoy this world. Whereas Mayavad is thinking this material world to be illusion. They try to renounce. But that also leads to frustration because it's difficult to renounce. And even if you renounce, there is no deep satisfaction to the heart. And real third vision is to understand that everything belongs to God. Everything is emanation from God. This world is emanation from Lord. This world is also real, though this world is temporary. This world is temporary, but it is real. It's also energy of Lord. So therefore, everything should be engaged in service of Lord. So when you try to enjoy, thinking, when one sees things separate from God, one may try to enjoy. And when one is frustrated with enjoyment, one may try to renounce. But both are actually not the real way to live life. Whereas in Bhagavad Dharma, or it is explained that how everything is emanation from Lord. Everything is property of Lord. Everything should be engaged in service of Lord. And that is ultimate good for everyone. So here Kavi is telling that how one should engage his body, senses, mind, words, intelligence, consciousness, everything for the pleasure of Lord. When we are doing anything, one should know, this is for service of Lord. This is for the pleasure of Lord. And he says that one should control his mind and senses. Mind and senses will always try to take us away from Krishna consciousness, will try to take us towards sense gratification. But one should control his mind and senses. And constantly hear and chant. So, hearing and chanting is the most important aspect of Bhagavad Dharma. So, every activity or everything is along with hearing and chanting. Because when we hear and chant, we can be more conscious of Supreme Lord. Without hearing and chanting, activities may become mechanical. And without hearing, chanting, in the beginning we may offer it for the pleasure of Lord, but later on that consciousness may go away. And later on we may do activities for our own sense gratification. But if one continues hearing and chanting, then we can develop that proper mood, and with proper attitude one can engage in service of Lord. And in addition, Kavi is saying that one should see everything as expansion of Supreme Lord. Nothing separate from the Lord. So, these realizations give one freedom from fear. So, Om Purnamada Purnavidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Evam Vashishyate. One should understand, Lord is complete and perfect. And all emanations from Him are complete and perfect. And though so many emanations come from Supreme Lord who is complete and perfect, He remains complete and perfect. So, one should understand that Lord is complete. I am emanation from Lord, I am also complete. But we find incompleteness because we are when we get disconnected from the God. When you are connected with God, then we can find completeness. When this hand is disconnected from body, then it is incomplete. When hand is connected to body and engaged in service of body, hand is complete and perfect. The screw, when it is connected to this laptop, is complete and perfect. The screw gets disconnected and falls on the ground. That is incomplete. Similarly, living entities, when they are connected to Supreme Lord, they can experience completeness. So when one is engaged in service of Lord, one can find completeness. If one is not engaged in the service of Lord, disconnected from Lord, then one finds incompleteness. So one should understand this. Lord is complete. This world is complete. And whatever arrangements are made by Lord are also complete and perfect. When one sees from materialistic point of view, separate from Lord, separate from Lord, naturally one desires to enjoy, or one may be frustrated from enjoyment and want to renounce. So that kind of vision, materialistic vision or Mayavadi vision, is not going to help us. So here he said, we have to develop this vision, seeing everything in relation to God. One has to see God everywhere. When we see, so seeing God everywhere. When we see sun, we can say, oh, these are eyes of Krishna. When I see moon, it's eyes of Krishna. When you drink water, this is taste of water. Is Krishna says, I am the taste of water. All these things, in some way, trying to see Krishna. And whatever happens in life, also we try to see how it's arrangement of Krishna. Everything has a purpose. Not that, things are happening by chance. Everything has a purpose. And something is happening, maybe it has a purpose. And even if some difficult things are happening, challenging things are happening, or unfortunate things are happening, or some bad things are happening. Jai Shri Shintai Gauranga Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Gaur Premanande Hare Bo. Other day, somebody was telling in class, I forgot. Who was saying? He said, if there is something bad, you can see the good surrounding the bad. Huh? Okay, so he said nicely. He said, anything you see bad, you don't just see bad, you can also see good around the bad. And he said, you can also see what good comes from the bad. Bad is there, there's good around bad. And not that bad remains bad. There are many good things come from the bad. And then he said, we can also think what can be done to transform that bad into good. Okay, something happened, maybe some mistake happened, I did mistake or other some did mistake. But what can we learn from it? So that in future that bad doesn't happen. So everything has a purpose. So when we see in relationship with God, so one has to become accountable to God. So when we actually read Bhagavatam, hear Bhagavatam, or associate with devotees, gradually one can get the vision to see everything in relation to God. And by seeing everything in relation, one can also become accountable to God. When we know I am accountable, then we can give our best. There's no question of cheating or duplicity. We know Krishna is there within us. So I have to do sincere devotion service. I cannot harm anybody. I have to be of service to everyone. I can't do disservice. And so, yes, definitely, we have to be accountable to devotees. We are accountable to other one. Ultimately, we are accountable to Krishna also, and we cannot cheat Krishna in any way. So we have to know what is the right thing to do, because we are accountable. Not that, okay, chalo, let me just do it, whether right or wrong doesn't matter. If it feels good, just do it. No. May feel good, not good, whatever. No. I need to know what is the right thing to do, and I need to do it. So for that, I need to be thoughtful. I need to inquire. I need to understand, not just go on in life. And when we are serving together, actually in Krishna consciousness, Krishna reveals so many things only in association of devotees. Alone it's very difficult. And great joys and happiness also come in association of devotees. The beauty of Krishna consciousness can be experienced in association of devotees, not alone. And in spiritual world also there is association of devotees. So naturally when we deal with devotees, there may be many wonderful experiences and sometimes not so wonderful experience also. Sometimes devotees may apparently not deal with us so appropriately, or sometimes we may not deal so appropriately with others. And there can be pain. And pain we need to learn, okay, how I can be appropriate in my dealings. And okay, if somebody deals inappropriately, how I can see it in an appropriate way. So, His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj used to say, whenever we interact with devotees, we have to see every interaction as either as a gift of love or call for love. If some devotees deal with us very nicely, sometimes some devotees are really very kind, compassionate, loving, affectionate, and we feel, oh, so nice, wonderful, I became a devotee, so nice, I'm getting assist, so nice. So if devotees are dealing with us in a very wonderful way, nice, when we are very happy, one should know this is gift of love from devotees. This is gift of love. Krishna is showering us. Sometimes devotees, due to situation, something may not behave inappropriately. All these things, one should understand it is call for love. If some devotees are happy, they are grateful, naturally they will also share something. But sometimes we are also humans. If sometimes there are disturbance, natural disturbance also come. So instead of taking words very seriously, one should not say, oh, he's angry, he's upset, he's speaking like this. Instead of taking it words seriously, one should know what is his concern. Maybe let me try to understand his concern and let me try to serve him. Oh, he's calling for love. Either people give, it's a gift of love or it's call for love. So, especially in close circles, one should not take any offenses. Because in close circles, if somebody offends, if relationships are not there, generally we may take it offense and then distance. That can distance. But in close circles, because we are all human beings, we are not perfect. So sometimes mistakes can be there. So one should, if some inappropriate action or behavior, one should think, oh, why is speaking, or why she is speaking like this or acting like this? Maybe he needs more love, he needs more care. Instead of taking an offense, maybe I should be more loving and caring. So every interaction we can see it as either gift of love. If one receives gift of love, that's wonderful. Or one should see it as a call for love. Maybe I should give more love and care. So it's easy to say, difficult to practice, but at least we can know the theory. This is devotional service. And especially we can try our best because we are accountable to Lord, and whatever we do is ultimately for the pleasure of Lord. We can try to see how everything, as our acharyas and great devotees always try to see how they can be instrument of love and compassion. Other day, this Prabhuji, who was speaking, Jivanand Prabhu was saying how in devotee circle also there can be a lot of difference of opinion, challenges, all these things. But how we see when the environment is there of love, trust, respect, then things can become nice. So always it is challenging, but we can always try see within our capacity. It can be very little capacity, but within our little capacity, how we can try to be instrument in hands of Guru and Gaura, instrument of their love, instrument of their compassion, instrument of service. Sometimes we may do service, many may not reciprocate, but sometimes some people reciprocate, and then one may think they thank or this, we feel, oh, it's worth it, no? This and ultimately, even if nobody reciprocates, Krishna reciprocates, and Krishna takes that seriously. So seeing everything in relationship with God, seeing hand of God means also seeing all these things. So here we see that Navayogadharas are being appreciated, glorified by Narad Muni. That Narad Muni is saying, these sages wandered the earth, seeing the entire universe with all its gross and subtle objects as manifestation of Supreme Lord and as non-different from the Lord and the Self. So it has a big purport, and we see all our acharyas and all these things. Whenever there is some chance of misunderstanding, they always clarify so that people don't misunderstand. So I'll just read the last paragraph of the purport and conclude. So Srila Prabhupada has clearly explained here that both cosmic manifestation and living entities are emanation from the Supreme Lord, as confirmed both in Vedanta Sutra and in the opening statement of Srimad Bhagavatam, Janmadi Yasyatha. The absolute truth is that from which everything emanates. Similarly, Ishabni states, Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The Supreme Lord, the absolute truth, is Purna or complete in himself. And since this cosmic world is manifestation of his potency, it also appears to be Purna. In other words, because this material world is an emanation from Supreme Lord, it is non-different from him, exactly as sun's rays are non-different from sun globe, which is source of their emanation. Similar living beings who are expansion of the superiors or conscious energy of Supreme Lord are also non-different from Krishna, although this non-difference is qualitative and not quantitative. Gold found in golden ornaments such as rings and bracelet is qualitatively identical with gold in the mine, but gold in the mine is quantitatively far superior to tiny quantity of gold in bracelet or ring. Similarly, although we are qualitatively one with God, being spiritual emanations of His unlimited potency, we are quantitatively infinitesimal and eternally subordinate to His supreme power. Therefore, Lord is called Vibhu, or infinitely potent, and we are called Anu, or infinitesimal and dependent. This is further confirmed in Vedic literatures by the statements Nityo Nityanam Chetanas Chetanam Eko Bahunam Yo Vidanti Kaman. They are innumerable eternal living beings who are eternally and totally dependent on one supreme singular living entity, the Supreme Lord. That dependence is not an illusion created by material existence as stated by impersonalist philosopher, but is an eternal relationship in which the Lord is eternally superior and we are eternally inferior. The Lord is eternally independent and we are eternally dependent. The Lord is eternally absolute in himself and we are eternally relative to his supreme personality. Although Lord is infinitely greater than any other living beings or than all of them combined, every living being is qualitatively non-different from Lord, because all living beings are part and parcel emanating from him. Therefore, in one sense, the living entity is also not different from the material cosmic manifestation, which is an inferior sister energy of the Lord. But the living entity and the material nature are prakriti or feminine, dependent expansions of the Supreme Purusha. The difference is that living entity is the superior energy of Lord, because living entity is conscious and eternal like the Lord, whereas material energy is inferior energy of Lord, lacking consciousness and eternal form. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has emphasized in this regard that the absolute substance is one and is called Paramatma or the Super Soul. When one has achieved but a partial vision of the Paramatma, one's understanding of life is called Atma Darshan or self-realization. And when even this partial understanding is lacking, one's existing condition is called Anatma Darshan or ignorance of self. In the state of partial realization of Super Soul, without recognition of Paramatma's distinction from individual soul, the living entity tends to become puffed up by spiritual achievement, be carried away by mental concoction and consider himself equal in all respects with God. On the other hand, living entity is situated in Anatma Darshan or material ignorance, feels that he is completely different from Supreme Lord. And since everyone in this material world is interested in himself, the living entity forgets about God, thinking that God is completely different from him and that there is therefore no substantial relationship between him and God. In this way, the impersonal transcendence emphasizes only the oneness between God and the living entity, whereas ordinary materialist people overemphasize the difference between God and living entity. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has clearly revealed that the ultimate truth is simultaneous one and different. Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. Actually, we are eternally different from God, because living entity and God are eternally separate individual entities. There exists the possibility of an eternal relationship. And because every living entity is qualitatively one with Supreme Lord, that relationship constitutes the essence of ultimate reality for every living being. As stated in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Jivere Swarup Hoy Krishnera Nitya Das, the ultimate essential identity of every living entity is his relationship with Supreme Lord as the servitor of the Lord. If one can understand that he is an eternal servant of Supreme Person of Godhead, one can correctly understand that both the living entity and material universe are identical with Krishna, being emanation from him, and that they are therefore non-different from each other. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur has stated, the material world is manifestation of simultaneous difference and non-difference and is a form of Supreme Lord. Thus, the temporary, perishable and ever-changing material world is different from Vaikuntha, the eternal world. It should be noted that in this verse, the word Sat Asat Atmakam, or made of gross and subtle object, does not refer to material and spiritual object. This universe is stated to be composed of Sat, Asat, gross and subtle material object. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, the very subtle state within the manifest world is known as unmanifest, and realm beyond the manifest world is called transcendental. Within the covering surroundings, the manifest in the region of time factor is the phase of material existence experienced by controlling deities. In this phase exist two functions, cause Asat and effect Sat. In the universe, which is third tattva or reality apart from and containing both Sat and Asat, and which is a form of the Supreme Lord, it is impossible to produce any contradictions to the non-dual absolute truth. In other words, although ignorant materialistic scientists may zealously carry out research to find material principle that can negate or render unnecessary the existence of God, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta clearly stated that since the universe is an emanation of Lord and therefore spiritual identical with him, there cannot possibly exist anywhere within the universe a material law, principle or phenomena that in any way contradicts the supremacy of the personal Godhead. In fact, the entire universe along with spiritual Kai exist as eternal testimony to the unlimited glory of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. With this understanding, the 9 Yugadas were traveling about the earth in transcendental bliss. So Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur is stating that since the universe is an emanation from Lord, therefore spiritual identical with Lord, there cannot possibly exist anywhere within the universe a material law, principle, or phenomena that in any way contradicts the supremacy of the personality of Godhead. In fact, the entire universe, along with the spiritual sky, exists as eternal testimony to the unlimited glory of the Supreme Person of Godhead, Krishna. So everything is meant to glorify Krishna. Everything is glorifying Krishna. With this understanding, this now Yagendras, we are traveling about the earth in trance and bliss. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. If anybody has any comment, any discussion, we can take. Okay, there is no question, so I will end here. So thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nidai Gaur Premanande, Hare Bo.